of place early planting sessions. We are still getting ready for spring, and it looks like it might be right around the corner, even though we have a ground full of snow. But it's beautiful out there, isn't it? But we're going to talk to you a little bit today. This will be our final session in talking to you about the microgreens for a while. We want to show you what we have, and then we're going to move on to just show you a couple of other things that we had talked about previously. But with the microgreens, we hope that you've tried it. If you have, please let us know. Please share with us what you planted and how it came out and what you used it for, whether you used the greens in smoothies or whether you put them in your salads or whether you just snacked on them. One of the things that we kept having problems with, as we kept telling you, is that the area that we had them growing in was a little cool, and we had some problems with keeping the plants watered because they were here over the weekend, and we weren't able to get in as often as we needed to water. But what we did was we tried a different system. Last week we talked to you about this little container that we just picked up at the dollar store, and it's a little greenhouse, just a little greenhouse, and it worked wonders because we started the new seeds 2 days ago. This is 2 days worth of growth. Isn't that absolutely beautiful? We put them out in the outer offices where there was more light because there's a light that stays on there overnight. So we put it right under that light, and we also had them really watered, and we put them in one of these containers where they were kept within the little greenhouse where it was kept warmer and it was kept moist, so it did not go dry. And so this is what happened after 2 days, when it took us almost a week to get to this point when they were in the other environment. So we finally did our experiments, and we found out what works. We put them in a little greenhouse, and we put them directly under the light and in a much warmer space. And so this is what we have in all of our containers. All of them grew the same. This is arugula that we have here, and we started 3 different containers, and they're all beautiful, and you'll get a close-up shot of that a little bit later. We had the ones that we had last week, the plants that we had, staff actually use those, and that's one thing we really love about this, because they are used. Staff will, as they get mature and ready to harvest, we have staff members that will take them, and actually they make salads, and or they just snack on them, or they put them in their smoothies. So, and they report back that they're absolutely delicious. So please try it. I have tried them all as we were going along, and I can tell you that they really are just delicious. And as soon as I clear a space at home, I'm going to be starting my own microgreens to grow through the season. What we also put out on the same day that we put these out, we put out some, these are going to be for the garden. This is jalapeno peppers, and they're in the little container that we started last week. And then we have some zucchini, as you can see right here. And then we have ground cherries. Last year we had ground cherries in the garden, and the young people absolutely loved them, and so did the adults. And so we're going to have several plants of the ground cherries. So for those of you that said you wanted to have ground cherry plants at your house, we do have seeds, a few seeds now, and I will have more. And then we are starting some plants, so you will be able to get plants after they're started. I wanted to show you this. I don't know if you can see it well on the camera, but can you see there are little pods in there? Last week we had the morning glories that we were showing you that were getting a bit leggy because they weren't in direct sunlight and couldn't get enough light. And I was taking them home so that I could put them in direct light, and we were going to show them to you once we planted them in the garden. Unfortunately, it was on that day that we had a freeze, and as I got home, I absolutely forgot they were in the car. So forgetfulness, and I destroyed our last crop. So these are morning glories, and I just put them in the soil 2 days ago, and already we have over 1.5 inch growth of several of them. I'm seeing I'm seeing 7 plants already after 2 days, and so that's really awesome. And it's because they are in this little greenhouse, and this seems to be just a perfect little growing medium to put them in the soil and in this little container. So you know, pick up some if you can, and get growing. Okay. What I want to show you today, we told you we are going to show you how to create the self-watering system, and what we've done is we've just taken a soda bottle, and I'm going with the tinted ones, because when you have the water in the clear containers, sometimes they tend to grow algae or other little things you don't want in your crop. And so we're using this darker colored plastic so that it can just filter out some of the light as it's getting to the water, and this will probably work a lot better for you. So what we're going to do, we just take a soda bottle, and I'll just show you what we do here. Just take a soda bottle, and what I do is I just kind of pinch it close so that it's kind of flat a little bit, and I start my cut. And as I start the cut, then I just insert the scissors and go around and cut the top off. And it might be a little uneven, but that's okay. You can even it up if you want to, or you can just, you're good, and it's going to fit like that. Okay, it's going to fit like that into your bottle. And then what I do is I take just something to puncture a hole in the top of the bottle. Just puncture a hole in the center, a couple of holes in there, because we're going to have to make that a little larger for the cloth to fit through. Okay, and then I take my scissors and I just kind of push it down in there, and then make that a little, and just kind of turn it a little bit. Be very careful, okay? If you have children that want to do this, let the adults do this part, okay? And it might be easier if you kind of take the top off, because that's what I did before. And push the scissors down in there a little bit, and just wiggle it a little bit so that it's making the hole larger as it goes in. There we go. And then as it's doing that, just turn it a little bit from side to side, and then after you get it in, you can actually take it and just turn it until you get it to the hole to the size that you want it to be for your bottle. Okay, because water's going to be, this is what's going to keep it, keep the water coming into the plant, into the dirt. So as you can see, it's all the way through there. There is a hole in the center right there. And so what we do then is we just take any cloth, any little clean cloth that you have, cut it in strips, and then you're going to feed one end of it through this hole. And we feed our cloth through here. Okay. And as we pull this through, and you want it to be snug because you don't want the dirt to fall out, so you're going to have this. And then you just take this and feed it back through, and screw the top back on the bottle. Okay. Now, once you have this, you're going to put water. I'm going to put some water in here because you want this nice and wet on the top, and then you want water in the bottom. And as you can see, the water will drip slowly in there, but you want to go ahead and fill the bottom part with water. Make sure the string is nice and wet, and then just going to pour the water off the top and into the bottom part. Okay, so there you have that wet string on the bottom, and it's wet on the top. And so if you can see, we have water that's going to touch the top of this bottle cap here. And you can put a little more if you want. It's not going to touch the plant, okay? So this is what it's going to look like, if you can really see that. just water in there. And then you're going to have this part here that's wet, and you're going to put soil around it. You're going to put soil around this string. You want the string to be like in the middle of the dirt, because it's going to bring water up to water your plant, okay? And that's what you want. It's going to keep your plant wet. Keep the roots wet. Won't be soggy. They won't be sitting in water. And then what you'll want to do is make sure your soil is nice and moist. Okay. And this is a little container that can sit right in your kitchen window. I will tell you though, sometimes it gets a little unstable. We had a couple of incidents last week where it just kind of tipped over, but you can kind of work with it to get it the way as steady as it will be. You might want to sit it inside of a little cup or something. And a lot of times what we'll do is, if we have a cup that just has a little chip on it that you're not gonna be using to drink out of anymore because it does have that little chip, you can use something like that to sit this in to stabilize it a little bit, and that works out wonderfully well. So what we're going to put in here today is basil. And this is nice to have in the kitchen if you like cooking with herbs. You can just use these little containers to plant herbs in, and have them right there at your fingertips when you're ready to do some cooking. So we're just going to sprinkle a few little seeds in here. There they go, just a few. And then we're going to cover that a little bit with just a little bit of soil, just a tiny bit. Okay, and then we're going to put water on that to make sure that it's nice and moist. And then that's ready. Now, last week what we did was use this larger container. 2 weeks ago we used this larger container as a greenhouse, and it worked out really well. And we just had this on top, and it kept it covered, and the plants that we had in it were really nice. So this week I wanted to show you that you could do the same thing with the larger ones as you do with the smaller ones, and you can also make a watering system with this. And you would do the same thing, just wet your string, put the water in the bottom, put your dirt in the top, wet it, make sure it's wet, put your seeds in there, and you're good to go. So what we want to do, I wanted to show you the larger one, what it will look like compared to the smaller one. Okay, so it depends on what size you want to use. And what we're going to do today, rather than use this as a planter, we're simply going to, because remember the greenhouse effect just works better. So we're going to just sit this down in this larger bottle for now until it actually starts to germinate, get our seeds going and get some little plants in there. And then we can just cover it a little bit. And what will happen is, as we're gone for the weekend, and I'm going to put tape around it just to keep it held in. What will happen is the moisture will stay in there, and if we can't get back in on the weekends to water it, it'll be fine on Monday. That's one of the experiments that we've done, and we find out that that's going to work. Just make sure that it's well watered, and this has its own watering system, but I still like to spritz a little bit of water on the top to make sure that the seeds are getting the dampness directly. So even with it just like this is going to be fine over the weekend. It has its own watering system set up. We won't have to worry about the top drying out. The greenhouse is going to take care of that. With these other plants that we have here, we will spritz those before we leave today, and they're going to be fine over the weekend, because this little greenhouse is going to keep them moist, and it's going to help keep them warm, and we're going to have them in a different environment. It'll be a little warmer outside in the larger room. And then we have our microgreens, and what we're going to do with the microgreens is just spritz them really well, and then we will have them out in the area where they're going to be under the direct light, because they just did wonderfully well. They grew really fast out there under that light. So that's what we have. So if you have any questions, if you have comments, please get in touch with us. Let us know what you're doing. If you have questions, if there's something you'd like to see us do other than the microgreens or with some of the things that we've shown you, let us know, and we will make sure to get that information out there to you. Okay, if you need seeds, if you need containers, let us know. We'll get that to you. If you need more one-on-one contact on how to do some of these projects, we'll assist you with that also. So until next week, happy growing, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.